In this short presentation, I'm going to explain how to apply for a skilled worker visa if you are a veterinary surgeon. In order to qualify for a skilled worker visa, you must meet all of the following requirements. You must have a job that is eligible for this type of visa, and you will be asked during your application to state the occupational code of your job. If you are working in the UK as a veterinary surgeon, your occupation code is 2216, and all jobs of this type will be eligible for a visa. You also need to make sure that you're going to be working for an employer in the UK that has been approved by the Home Office. They will need a Home Office sponsor license. So when making an application, do ask and check to make sure that they have this license or know how to apply for one. And also, for the visa, you will need to be paid a minimum salary. For veterinary surgeons, because the job is on the occupation shortage list in the UK, the minimum salary requirement is £26,200 per year. Now, in the UK, veterinary surgeon jobs usually start at a minimum of 30 to 32,000. So again, most jobs of this type are going to be eligible for the visa. There may be some internships that will offer a lower salary, but do check with your recruiter if this is going to be a problem for you. There are costs involved in applying for a skilled worker visa, and you must be aware of these costs before you apply for a position. Many veterinary recruiters will give you this information, and also many employers will help with the costs of these fees. However, not everyone will be in a position to pay these for you, so do be aware that you may need to pay these for yourself. Now, the application fee for the visa for a veterinary surgeon is £479. That is if you are planning to stay in the UK for up to 3 years. If your visa and the certificate of sponsorship that you are given is for more than 3 years and up to a maximum of 5 years, then your application fee will increase to £943. In addition to the application fee, there is an admin fee that you need to pay to the Home Office, and this is usually around £200. There is also a healthcare surcharge that you will pay in advance to use the services of the National Health Service in the UK. The cost of this is £624 per year, and it will be paid upfront for the number of years that you are planning to stay in the UK. So, for example, if your certificate of sponsorship and your visa application is for 3 years, you will pay £624 times three. If you are staying here for 5 years, then it is £624 times five. So the longer you plan to stay in the UK, the longer and higher the fee is that you will pay upfront. All of these fees, if you are applying from outside of the UK, will be given to you in your currency. So these are just the UK pounds equivalent, but the numbers that you get given on your application will be slightly different. So you do need to take into account the exchange rates in the country that you're applying from. You'll also be asked during your application to prove that you can support yourself when you arrive in the UK. This would normally be for up to 3 months, so you'll be asked to have at least £1,270 available in your bank account at the time of your application. You will be asked to prove this by submitting copies of your bank details. Your application is done online via the UK Home Office website gov.uk. You'll be asked for these things as the application begins. The first is the Certificate of Sponsorship Reference Number. This is a number that your employer will give to you. When they make the application on your behalf, they will be given a code, and this code is your Certificate of Sponsorship number. You will also be asked to prove your knowledge of English. If you are RCVS registered, you will already have this and have done this for your application. So you will be able to use that same proof for this visa application. And thirdly, you will need in your possession a valid passport or other document that shows your identity and nationality. If you have a passport with a chip in it, this will mean that you can do your application quicker and you'll be able to do your biometrics online rather than having to visit a visa centre to do your application. The other information that you will be asked for in your online application are your job title and the annual salary that you will be paid. This is your base salary before any bonuses or allowances. You will be asked for your job's occupation code. And again, for veterinary surgeons, this code is 2216. You'll be asked the name of your employer and their Home Office sponsor license number. This number will be on the certificate of sponsorship when it is given to you by your employer. If they just give you the code, do ask for their sponsor license number as well. You will be given the option to confirm that your job is on the occupation shortage list. As a veterinary surgeon, you will select yes at this part of the application. You will also be asked to give details of any family members that are already living in the UK, where they are living and how long they have been here. You will be asked about any previous travel that you have made to the UK in the last 10 years. Again, where you travelled to, the reason for your travel, and how long you stayed. You will also be asked to declare that you do not know of any criminal record that you have and that you have not been refused a visa application previously and that you have not overstayed in the UK before. And lastly, depending on your individual circumstances, you may be asked to provide the further information. If you are travelling with your partner and children, and they are also applying for a visa to come to the UK with you when you start your new job, you will need to provide proof of your relationship with them. So for your children, this would be birth certificates, and for your partner, this would be proof that you are living together. So any bills that you might pay together or proof of your living arrangements. You may also be asked if you have come from a certain country to provide results of a tuberculosis test. If you're not sure whether your country is on the list where tuberculosis is a risk, please do ask your immigration advisor and they will be able to tell you, or you can search tuberculosis test on the gov.uk website and you will also be given a list of countries from there. And lastly, just to note, if you are coming from outside of the EU or from inside of the EU and do not have your passport with a biometric chip, you need to have a blank page in your passport so that your visa stamp can be given to you. If you have lived in more than one country previous to your application, you may also need to provide a certificate from each country that you've lived in, again, depending on your age and how long you've stayed there. For under 21s, You need a certificate from any country that you've stayed in for a total of 12 months or more since the age of 18. And if you're over 28, you'll need a certificate from any country that you've stayed in at all over the last 10 years. Any documents that you need to submit will need to be submitted in English or Welsh. So if they are not in these languages, you will need to provide certified translation. And again, details of how to certify your documents can be found on the gov.uk website.